Welcome back, guys. Hope you're all doing great. Well, in this video we're going to learn how to work with different form validations, different forms, right? So we're going to use the React hook form, and we're going to use the Formik, and we are going to use the different resolvers like Zord and Yup. So basically we are going to work with the React hook form and Zord resolver, and we are going to work with the Formik with Yup resolver. See, these are the two different popular forms. So from which we use in React in order to work with the along with validations as well as, right? So in this case we're going to learn how to use these two resolvers more efficient way with React and JavaScript. Okay, and the next video maybe we will work with the Next.js and with TypeScript. All right, so without wasting your time, let's jump into the video. So first what we have to do is we have to create a new project folder. So I'm going to name that project folder as the form validations, and I'm going to open that project folder in a new terminal, and let me open it in the Visual Studio Code and keep it side by side. All right, perfect. And okay, so then all I have to do is to get back over here and search for install white with tailwind. Okay, so you can find this first one, install tailwind CSS with the white application. So click it, and all you have to do is to copy this, copy it, let me open it, and then paste it. So here, instead of my project, in this case we're going to use our project folder. So I'm going to keep it as a dot slash. So hit the enter. So that will download the React white application. So if you open it, and you should be able to see the JavaScript main.jsx file, and we can able to see index.css, and we can able to see app.jsx and everything. Okay, and all you have to do is to go ahead and copy this, the second line, copy this and install it. So that is going to download, install all the node modules, and as well as download this latest package as for your tailwind CSS, post CSS, and auto prefixers. So this will download all the necessary files and everything. So it is downloaded, and then all we have to do is to initialize the tailwind CSS. So hit the enter, copy the second command and run it. Now you should be able to see with tailwind CSS is generated a new config file. So click the new config file, and all I have to do is to copy this, and I have to paste it straight away over here, save it, right? So then all I have to do is to copy this and put it into our index.css file on the top of it, paste it. Then along with this, I'm going to add the body tag and the HTML tag, and along with the root element, everything should use the height as the 100% height. Save these changes. All right, then you can start writing the CSS as well as. So in this case, I'm going to delete the app.css and get into the app.jsx, and let me open it and RAFCE, use the leave it as it is, and let me say run this application, npm run dev. So let's open this application in a new tab, and here we go. So it is working, and it is coming in the exactly the center location. It is all because of this default styles, I think so. Yep, maybe because of this default style. All I have to do is to go ahead and delete until this. I don't need anything at all. Okay, perfect. And then it's in the background color, I think it's using the dot background. Let me delete this as well as. Okay, perfect. Now everything is fine. Let's keep it as simple. Now we have the live theme and everything is working up and running perfectly. Let's make sure the tailwind CSS is working perfectly fine. So maximum it should take the container container width, and the maximum screen width should be 2 pixel, not more than 1536 pixel. Okay, it should not move beyond that screen size. Okay, so it is still okay. Then I need to make sure whether the styles everything is working fine. Text blue 400, and let's make sure it is working. See, now the styles everything is working perfectly as it's supposed to be, perfectly fine. So let me close this, and let me make sure it is the column direction. Flex everything should be in the column direction, and padding should be 4. And inside here I'm gonna bring one more division, which is going to access the entire length. So div, which is going to be having the width, of course, completely full. And of course, it should be MX auto directions, which means the margin should be automatically aligned. Then with the full, and margin top should have some margin top, flex, item center, and everything should be in the justify center, and it should be in the column direction, and gap between everything, it should be 2. Then inside here, I'm going to open an h2 tag, which is going to be custom form validations. Okay, now you should be able to see the custom form validations over there. So for the heading, I'm going to say class name, which is going to be text, of course, 3XL. Then font, of course, should be semi bold, and text gray 700. This is how it should looks. All right, then right over here, first what we are going to do, we're going to create a form validation using a React web hook. So form validations using React hook form, and then we're going to work with the form validations using Formik and Yup, these two, right? These are the two things that we are going to work with. All right, perfect. So all I have to do is to now let's get back into the video over here, and search for a React hook form. Hit the enter, and you should see their official website. Click it and click the get started option, and you can find there are different ways of integrating the React hook forms and different tutorials over there, how to register the field, how to apply the validations, and even how to integrate the controlled inputs. So basically, controlled inputs will help you to use their own components in order to work with the fields and validating the errors and registering the fields and everything. So you can go with their own component, or you can go with their official component. In this case, we're going to create everything for ourselves completely from the ground. So let me go and copy this, close it, and I'm going to paste it. Whenever you're working with React hook form, we need a resolver, right? So for a validation purpose, so I'm going to use this Zord. So click the Zord, and you can understand how to use the Zord and everything. Basically, this is the schema validation with a static type interference. Okay, so Zord helps you to work with you can see what is the specifically it's used for. It's for schema declaration, and it is a validation library. So basically, we're going to work with the React hook form. That form going to create a schema, and the schema, each and schema object is going to has its own type. So that helps us to validate it. It's much easier. So we're going to integrate the React hook form and the Zord together. So all we have to do is to npm, click it, and copy this, or you can directly type it over here, Zord. So whenever you're working with, we need a resolvers, which you need to install from at the right hook forms resolvers. So basically, this resolvers which helps us to work with if you wait a second, at hook form slash resolvers. If you search for it, yeah, see, this is the validation resolvers. It helps us to work with the Yup and the Zord and West class validator and so on. These are the different types of resolvers that helps us to work with. So I'm going to click this, and I'm going to copy this, and I'm going to paste it. Right, so hit the enter. So let it download and install it. Perfect. So now for validation with the React hook form, I'm going to create a new form. So form validations using a React hook form. Okay, so I'm going to copy this name and get into a source folder, a new folder, and I'm going to create the components folder. Right click, and here I'm going to create a new file, and I'm going to create a component for it. Then I need to export it inside the component itself. So index.js, this is not necessary, but if you do it when you're working with more than 2 or 10 components, we need to import it in a different import lines. So in order to avoid that, we can export it through this index.js, and we can import it in a single line. So all I have to do is to export default as from /. So I'm going to export it in the exact same name itself, so I don't get into any confusions at all. So save these changes. So this is how it looks. Okay, export default and all these things. And let me get back over here. Okay, and all I have to do is to import it, and you can able to see it is being imported directly from the components folder. So now onwards, if I want to import any other component, all I have to do add comma and keep on importing it. So save it. All right. So don't worry about this issue, because this is, it's saying that it is not being, it is defined but never been used, because this is the ESLint issue. Don't worry about this. So if you wish to quick fix it, we can disable all these things. Non used, it will disable all those issues with the ESLint. Let's get back over here. All right, perfect. And if you check it out, we need to create a form like this. All right, so let's go ahead and create that now. So overall here inside this form validations and everything. So first let's fix the style way of this. So let's say class width, of course it should be full. Close this. And here I'm going to create a div class name. And of course it should be max width of 2 pixel, not more than that, like 622 pixels, not more than that. Then mx should be in the auto direction, and padding, of course it should be 8. Shadow, it should have the LG, and of course it should have some rounded corners. So rounded, of course it should be LG, and bg gray 50. All right, then you should able to, okay, so I can't see anything for the time being. Okay, inside here, for instance, let's say h2, I'm going to say form validations using, I think I stopped, yeah, I think I stopped the server. That's the reason I can't see anything. Now I should able to see something over here. Yep, here we go. So form validations using React hook form and Zod. Save it. That is what it's displayed over here. Okay, so, and so everything should be in the column direction. Flex, item center, justify in the starting point, and it should be in the column direction. Now it will be in the center location. Perfect. And let me make it in the word wrap so I can able to see it. So right after here, now we need to design the form. So let's go ahead and create the form schema and everything. So what I have to do is to first we need to create a validation schema for our form. So let's go ahead and create a validation schema for our form. So here, so let's import all the necessary packages that we need to import. So all I have to do is to import from the Zod. First I'm going to import the object called Z. This is the object which is coming from Zod, which is necessary for defining the schema, right? Then I'm going to use from the React hook form, I'm going to use a custom hook called use form. This is coming from where? From the React hook form. And I'm going to use the resolver in order to connect both the schema and the form hook. So I'm going to import it from at hook form, and I'm going to use the Zod resolver. So import the Zod resolver. So these are the packages that we need to import. Then let's create a validation schema now. So const schema is equals to Z. We need to import the Z, and I'm going to create an object, open it. Then let's open the object bracket parenthesis itself. And inside here, I'm going to create a name field. That's the first field that we are trying to create. Then that is going to be a string, right? And it should be minimum of the length. By default, when you're using Zod, everything is a required field. If you wish to keep any particular field as an optional one, you need to do in a very specific way called .optional. Let's make sure that this particular field is an optional field. It is not a required one, right? Keep it in mind when you're using Zod, every single field is a required field. If you wish to keep it as an optional, you need to use the function called optional, right? Then it should have minimum one letter in that particular name field. That is what we are defining over here. And if you wish to give any custom message, let's say name is required, something like this. It's a custom message, right? Then I'm going to create an email field, email, which is going to be a string itself. Open it. but we need to make sure that is an email one. Okay, dot email. What kind of message that you need to give? If the email is not in a valid way, so let's say invalid email address. This is it, right? Then I need to go for mobile number. So basically mobile number in an Indian number, it should be 10 digits long. Okay, you should wherever you're viewing it, make sure that according to your own way, right? So z, it should be a string, z dot string. Come on, open it. Then we need to make sure that it should be a 10 digit numbers alone, right? User needs to enter a number alone, not any other. So even though if you're defining it as a string, when it's working with Zord Resolver, you can use the regular expressions in order to validate the data. So we're going to use the regular expressions, open it and start the regular expressions, start it and end it, right? This is the way you need to start and end. And in between inside here, we need to make sure that every single value entered in this particular field, it should be a digits and it should contain 10 digits, right? This is the way. So if you wish to learn more about the regular expressions, feel free to search about the regular expressions. What is the slash for and what is this and what is that and everything. When it comes to regular expression, this is how you need to wrap it, and this is how you need to make sure that we are starting point and this is the ending point where the expression is starting and ending, right? And I'm going to give a custom message like mobile number must be 10 digit long. Save it, right? Then right after here, I'm going to check the postal code as well as. So postal code, which is going to be z.string object, open it. Then I'm going to use the regular expression itself, regular expressions, open it, which is going to be exactly the same as this. Let me copy it and paste it. But in this case, I'm going to keep it minimum. It should have 6 digits as a postal code. So I'm going to say, postal code must be 6 digits long, right? Then right after here, I'm going to bring the password, which is going to be z.string field, open it, right? And it should have minimum 8 digits. We need to make sure that minimum 8 digits should be there. Then I'm just going to give a custom message for this. So password must be at least 8 characters long. So if you feel this itself enough, you can keep it as it is. But we need to make sure the password should contain one uppercase, one number, and one lowercase, and one special characters. And even though in that special characters also, we can restrict what are the special characters that the user allowed to insert. If you wish to do that, so all you have to do is to use the regular expressions, open it, enter, and the first you need to give the regular expressions. So wrap it into a group, and then here, what is the first thing that we need to set up over here? So I'm going to say question mark equals to dot star, open it. User needs to type any characters from A to Z as a capital letter, right? That's the first group. Then let's open it one more time. Question mark equals to dot star. Okay, then right after here, open the array, and user can type anything from A to Z in the lower cases, right? That's the another group. Then let's open it. Question mark equals to dot star, and user allowed to type digits as well as numbers as well as, right? So they can insert any numbers. Okay, then open it. Question mark equals to dot star. All right, open it, open the array, and this is the place where you can mention what are the special characters that the user can insert in it. We can say user can type at, and he can type dollar, and he can use this exclamatory signs, underscore, and he can use the hyphen, and he can use the star, and he can use the question mark sign, right? These are the things that he can use it in the password. Not apart from this, user can't use anything else, right? So like the at ampersand symbol, we are not permitted to use those ampersand symbols and all those things, right? Then right after here, I need to give a custom message. Let's say, we are getting an error over here. What is this? Okay, let me. That's quite confused right now. Wait a minute. All right, so let's give this a custom message over here. Let's say password must include at least one uppercase letter, one lowercase letter, one number, and one special character. This is the custom message that we are giving if there is any issues when you're working with the passwords and everything. So I'm going to do the same stuff for the confirm password itself. Confirm password, which is going to be z.string, open it. Then I'm going to make sure that it should have the minimum 1 character length, right? And we need to give the message, confirm message, just confirm your password, You might wonder what if I need to do any specific the same pattern validations and all those things. It is not necessary, but only one thing is necessary, that password should exactly match the confirm password. So that's the reason we are not making the regular expressions and all those validations in the confirm password too. But we need to make sure whatever the field that user types in the password should exactly match the value what's typed inside the confirm password as well. As in that situation, all I have to do is to delete the semicolon, and I'm going to refine it. Use the refine function to access the value entered inside the field itself, and automatically do the comparisons and all those things, right? So I'm going to use the refine function, and I'm going to extract the data out of it. From the data, I'm going to access the data entered in the password and need to make sure that value entered in the confirm password as well. As if these both are true, in that situation I need to open this object. If this condition is true, then I'm gonna say the message, which is going to be password. If this condition is not true, this object will be triggered. So I'm gonna say don't match, password don't match. Then I need to fix the path where it need to be focused. It's need to be focused on the confirm password. So I'm gonna give the path over here as a confirm password. This is how you need to create the schema. So now we are done with the schema. Let's jump into the form validations over here. So I'm going to use the use form, open it. And I need to make sure what resolver and what type of schema this use form is going to use. So open it. So the resolver it's going to use is the Zod resolver, which we imported, and the Zod resolver which needs to keep track the schema. So from the use form, I'm going to access a certain fields, which is going to be the register, which helps us to register every input field with the form schema. Then I'm going to use the handle submit to handle our submit event. Then I'm going to use the form state. So from the form state, I'm going to access the errors, and I'm going to access whether the form is valid or not. And I'm going to access whether the form is submitted or submitting or still it's submitted. Submitting, or whether the form is submitted successfully. So these are the different states which we need to access. I'm going to access this form submitting, right? So save it. These are all the fields which is necessary for us. Then I'm going to create const on submit equals to open. I'm going to pass the data into it, open it. Then all I have to do is to console.log print the data. So this is the place where we need to call the API to store the form data into the database. Perfect, right? So this is the place where we need to create the form. So for that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to open the form, and I don't need the actions, clear it. So I need to, by default, form itself having the on submit event, submit. So we need to map it with our on submit function. So this function needs to call through this handle submit, right? Then only it can check whether all the fields and everything is validated properly or not. So I'm gonna handle that submit. and I'm going to submit our form reference function reference which we created over here. Okay, so this is how you need to handle the submit event. Then for this, I'm going to define a class name which is going to be flex column, and gap everything should be 6, and everything should be start from this item start, and the justify should be start. Save it. And now inside this form, hit the enter. Okay, so this is the form where we are going to bring the rest of the fields and everything. So first let's write some styles for this h2 tag class name, which is going to be text lg, and everything should be in the center, text center, and margin bottom should be 6, and text should be gray 800. All right, that's how it looks. I think we can go for Excel itself. Perfect. Close it. And let's make it a little bit big, bold, so font bold. That's, let's keep it semi bold. Okay, that's looking much better. So inside the form, first we need to bring the name field. So all I have to do is to create a div. So, and I'm going to make sure this is going to be flex and flex column. And inside this div, I'm going to bring a label, right? So basically, this label is going to be for the name field. Okay, so this needs to be HTML for, not for, which is for just when you're using with the simply HTML file, but when you're working with React, you need to use for HTML for. Then inside, I'm going to say name, then I'm going to create an input, and I'm going to say the ID, which is going to be the name itself, right? Because this ID needs to be mapped to this label field, right? Then I'm going to say placeholder, and I'm just going to say enter your name over here. Then I need to register this field, so I'm going to spread out all the property along with this register, open it. I'm going to register this field with the name field. Okay, save it. Then right after here, you should be able to see the value it's been loaded up over here. So I'm going to say class name. So I'm going to use the exact same style with the rest of the things. So I'm going to keep it as the form input, and I'm going to use the same label for the rest of the things. So I don't need to keep on writing the same styles again and again and again. So I'm going to make sure this is the form label, right? So save it. So let's go ahead and start writing the styles for this particular one. So let's open up our index.css. Over here, let's open up the index.css. Open it. So in order to write the custom styles, I'm going to create a layer first. So use the add layer property, and I'm going to access the base class. Then inside here, we can start writing our styles. So I'm going to say form hyphen label, open it, and use the apply property. So in order to write the styles for it, so it needs to be in a very small size, and text color should be gray 600, and then margin bottom should be 2. So save it. Now you should be able to see the styles it's been applied. And then I'm going to target the form input, open it, at apply, padding it should be 3, okay, and text size it should be small, and rounded it should be rounded, and it should have a border, and the border gray it should be 300. And then whenever it is being focused, border should be blue 400, board it should be 400. And whenever it is being focused, I need to remove the outline, right? This is what the style that we are looking for. Save it, and now you should be able to see the changes over there. Now in the form, we need to write some styles for this. So you can see it is looking like this. And why it is not taking the complete width? I think because of this, and this should take the complete width. There we go. Okay, So now it's taking the complete with. Now we have the name field, right? And right after this particular division, this is the place right over here. I need to display the errors. So right. So for this, I'm going to say, for the time being, I'm just going to say error. We know that error is being displayed over here, but we need to display the error in a more creative way, right? So what I'm going to do is class name, it needs to be displayed properly, right? So I'm going to say form error, save it, and let me open the index.css over there, and let's write some styles for the form error. Dot form error, open it, right? And I'm going to use the apply property at apply. Text should be red 500, and the text should be extremely small, and from the top it's need to be moved a little bit down. So that's how it looks, and the text should be text right side. It should be on the right side corner. If you feel to keep it on the right side, keep it there, or if you wish to keep it in the left side itself, keep it there. I'm happy wherever it is. Okay, that's up to you. You can make some corrections on your own at the end. So this is how it will be displayed, but not like this. Over here, I don't need to display this, so I'm gonna say cut it. That's the reason we access the errors. So we need to make sure if that is an error. So whenever there is an error, if the inside the errors object, if I do have the name property, then I need to display the paragraph. If it says so, from there errors dot name dot message, I need to access the custom message, whatever I defined for this name. I need to print that message, save it. Currently we can't see any issues, right? This will be displayed only if you submit the form. You should be able to see that validations, issues and everything. So for that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring a form submit button. So in order to check it out, so right after here, this is the submit button. Let's bring the submit button. Type should be submit. Okay. And here I'm going to bring the text name as the submit, and let's add some class names for it. So padding should be 3. Text should be a white color, and then BG blue should be 100, and whenever I'm hovering it, BG blue should be 600, and cursor should be pointer. This is how it looks. Okay. If I remove this, yep, if I remove that property, I don't need to set the width and all those things. If I mention where it's need to start and all these things, then I need to give the width the full property. Okay. Oh, my bad. All right. So now I don't need to define the width and everything. For this, I don't need to define the width full, but the form needs to access the complete width. So the rest of the field will follows the form, the parent. Now it is exactly as it is. Okay, so I did few customizations over here, so please delete the fields, everything accordingly, or you can feel free to adjust your own UI. Okay, so now if you check it out, if I click submit, you should see the error message over here. Name is required, which means the name field it's required because that is empty. I need to give any one single value. Now it is gone. If I delete it, it will be there, right? So all I have to do, type some value. You will not see that, yeah, the error message over there. All right, perfect. Now still there are the rest of the fields that I need to enter, because every field whatever we created, everything is the required one. Even though if I'm submitting it now, you can't see the console log because the event will not be submitted. If you check it out over here, if I click submit, I can't see, I'm clicking it, but I can't see anything because the form is not getting submitted. The reason is because the rest of the fields all are required. I'm still missing it. So let's go ahead and fix that now. So right after the division, what I need to do, I need to bring the I need to bring the email field. So all I have to do is to copy this and paste it over here. Save it. Now we should be able to see the name and the sample again and again. But in this case, what I'm going to do, I'm going to change this name into email, and this it's going to be email. And here also I'm going to change this to email, and here I'm going to say enter your email, and register field should be email, and form, instead of form error, it should be email, and here also it should be email. Save it, and now if you refresh it, this is how it looks. Now if you type something, it's saying invalid, still it's saying as an invalid email address. All I have to do is to sample@gmail.com, something like this. But if I didn't type it as in a proper way, it still will show the error message as invalid email. Okay, so it's working perfectly now. Then all I have to do is to jump into the mobile numbers. Let me, right after here, I need to bring the mobile number. Let me paste it over here, and I'm going to change this to mobile, over here. Use the option key or alt key, double tap it, double tap it, double tap it, double tap it, change it everywhere in a single instance as a mobile one. There we go. So now even if the user typing something with the number is as a digits, it will not accept the user. It still shows the error. Mobile number must be 10 digits long. It doesn't matter how many digits that you are typing, how many letter you are typing, it will not allow the user. But only if you are typing as a digits, it will remove that issue. Or even if I deleted anything, if now currently I'm having 9 digits, it's showing it should be 10. If I type 10 digits, that error is gone, right? That is what we needed. Even if the user typing the if you want to restrict it, user only needs to type the number, you can change this field. Instead of text field, you can give it as the number field. Okay, so it will allow the user to type only the numbers, and the validation will took a part, and it will do the validation rest, right? So right after here, I'm gonna bring the postal code. Next, we need to bring the postal code input field. So let me paste it over here and use the option keys to select this, and this. Change everywhere postal code. Make sure this field matches exactly the same as your schema field. Then only it will work. So change it over here, postal code, and enter your postal code. So save these changes, and now you should be able to see the postal code, and it's showing it as the required one because this field is empty. And if I now type it anything, see, all I have to do is to 6-digit postal code now. That field cannot be empty, and as the same way it should have the 6-digit postal code now. Perfect. Then all I have to do right after here, I need to bring the password field. This is the most important thing. So let's bring the password field, paste it, and straight away over here, all I have to do is to click it. This needs to be changed for name. I need to change the name. Then I need to change it over here, everywhere. I need to change it into password. So save it, and this field needs to be password, and enter your password. Save it, and you should be able to see the password. Now I can say, if I typing simply like sample like 1 2 3, even if it is 8-digit long, it will not work. It's because I need to give one capital letter, one small letter, and one special characters, which I mentioned up over here. At is inside that list, so I can use it. Then I need to give it should be 8 digits long. So in any situations, if I'm using ampersand sign, I think ampersand, it's there. Okay, so what symbol I can use then? If I use hash, see, hash is not inside that list, so it is showing up the error. I can simply give sample at 1 2 3. Okay, you can customize this UI part and everything. Now still the password field is working, and all I have to do is to get back over here, copy this, and we can change this into wherever the term password I've been using, I can change it into confirm password. Here also it should be confirm password. So save it. Now we should have the confirm password one. Now if I see, if I am typing sample at 1 2 3, see, S over here is a capital, but here it's in a lowercase. If I type it exactly the same as what I've written over here, then only it will be properly matched. Now the instead of text type, it should be the password field. Save it. And now the user can't see any text whatever he typed. So let me give the name sample, then sample at sample.com. Now if I click the inspect elements and if I jump into the console and if I submit it, you should be able to see the form is successfully submitted and we access all the fields, values, whatever the user um, typed over there. So this is how you need to use the React hook form and the Zord resolver. You might wonder, we can optimize this code by creating a reusable component for this particular stuff, right? So that is what we are going to do now. So in order to make this as the reusable component, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new component over here called form field.jsx. So then RAFCE, save it. So let's create what are the props that is necessary over here. So let's fix this ESLint because we don't want to. Okay, so what are the props that we need to set for this fields which we created? So for this field which we created, we need to set the ID, which is going to be the name, right? We need the ID, then what type it is going to be, then we need the placeholder, then we need the errors message, right? So let's go ahead and set all those things. So over here, open the prop. I need the label name, then I need the ID, then I need the type of the field, which is by default it's going to be the text field, and then along with this I need to get the placeholder, then I need to get the register, then I need to get the errors. Save it. These are all the fields that is necessary. Then all I have to do is to copy this entire division and get over here and paste it. And here instead of this HTML for the place bar for this name, I'm gonna delete it. Then I'm gonna supply the ID. Then here I'm gonna supply the label, whatever the label field, and by default it is going to be the type, not the text. Here I'm going to change it as a type because that is what we are mentioning over here, right? Type. Then all I have to do is for the placeholder, I'm going to say placeholder. Then for the register, I'm going to call the register along with the ID, whatever the name I'm sending in the ID, that needs to be properly mapped over here. Then instead of this, I'm going to delete this part. Okay, errors.message. So save it. So this is, so don't worry, this is the missed in the ESLint. Okay, all these issues are being because of the ESLint only. Disable for the entire file. All right, save it. Okay, so now if you get back over here, all I have to do is to, for this specific field, I'm going to access that form field. Then I need to supply the label, which is going to be the name. Then I need to supply the placeholder, which is going to be enter your name. Then for ID, I need to supply the name. Then what else I need to do? Register. I need to supply the register. For the register, I'm sending this register prop exactly as it is. Then for the errors, I'm going to send the errors.name itself. Save it. And now all I have to do is to delete this. Oops. Save it. And now you can see it will work exactly the same way. No changes in it. Right? So I'm going to pause this and I'm going to change the rest of the things. So please go ahead and pause it and change it. Pause the video and change the rest of the fields and use this reusable component. All right, then, so we successfully changed it into the reusable component, and now you see, you might feel that the form that looks the code much little bit cleaner, and it's easier for us to access the rest of the informations, right? So which is quite looking good. So this is how you need to use the form validation with the React Hook form and using the like what is it, Formik and Yup resolvers. All right, so now we know how to work with the React Hook form and the Zord resolver. So all we have to do is to go ahead and work with the Formik, and we are going to work with the Formik right now. All right, so in order to do that, all I have to do is to get back over here and I need to search for Formik. If you search for Formik, you can find their official documentation where you can able to build the form. So click the get started and you can go through how to use this Formik and everything, right? So if you scroll all the way to the bottom up over here, you can see they are using the Yup along with the as a resolver for the resolver for the Formik. They are using Yup resolvers, right? So let's go ahead and to the top, and I'm going to copy this. Let me open it, close it, npm install Formik and yup. Yup, hit the enter, let it download, and then npm run dev. There we go. So we successfully installed it and it's up and running now. Never. Perfect. So now all I have to do is to get into the app.jsx again, and overall over here I'm going to create one more, which is going to be form validations using Formik. Yep. So I'm going to copy this, then I'm going to get into the components folder, create a new file called this JSX and RAFCE JSX, and over here I'm going to disable all the unused variable in the over here and get it in the index.js, and I'm going to export this with the yep, and I'm going to copy this and I'm going to paste it, and I filed to import the export the form field as well as I'm going to copy this, I'm going to paste it. Let me jump into the form validations and delete this, and I'm going to import the form field from dot slash. Okay, perfectly fine. So now let's get into the yup over here. So since we are using the Formik and yup, of course we need to define the field and everything, but here you can see they are having its own way of integrating it. Okay, so they are using the Formik component in order to validate on all these different way of submitting it and different way of validating it. Don't worry about the documentations over here. So I figured out use it in a much easier way, right? So I'm going to show you how to use it in a much easier way, right? So since this is the basic question that they given in their official documentation. Okay, so overall here let's import the packages which is necessary from the Formik. So we need to bring the necessary fields, which is going to be the Formik as the component provided by them. Then we need to use the form. Then we need to use the field proper component which created by them. Then we need to get the error messages which is created by them. Okay, then let's go for import. I need to import everything as yup. From where? From the yup. Save the changes. All right, then all I have to do is to go ahead and create the schema. So const schema is equals to using the yup object. You might feel which is quite similar, but it's not quite similar. Maybe few, but not everything. Over here using the object, let's create the object. Okay, so this object, it's going to be having a shape. Open it. Inside the shape only we need to define the schema shape, which is going to be the name, and it's going to be yup dot string type, and it is a required field. In Zord resolver, everything is a required field. You need to specify which field is going to be optional. Here everything is optional. You need to specify which field is going to be a required field, right? So that's the only different. So name is required. Then I need to get the email, which is going to be yup dot string. Open it. Then we have the email. Open it, which going to be invalid email address if in case any error, and it should be a required field. If it is missing, we need to mention as email is required. Save it, right? Then I need to bring the mobile, which is going to be yup dot string. Open it. Then it should there we used the regular expression. Here we need to use the matches. Open it. It is going to have the regular expression and the two parameters. One is for regular expression for this, and another one is for your custom message, just exactly the same, but instead of regular X, here we need to use the matches function, and here we need to mention one more field, which is going to be the required field, which is going to be mobile number. Mobile number is required. Save it. This is how you need to define the mobile number. Then I'm going to copy this and I'm going to paste it, and this is going to be the postal code string, and this is going to be 6 digits. Instead of mobile number, I'm going to change this to postal code, and here also that is going to be postal code. Save it. Then now we need to define the password, which is going to be yup.string. Open it. Then I need to make sure this matches the field of this exactly the same pattern itself. So I'm going to copy this including the error message and I'm going to paste it over here. Then I need to mark this field as a required one. Dot required. Open it, and we need to make sure with the custom message password is required. Save it. This is what the password should looks like. Then we need to get the confirm password, which in case it's going to be yup.string itself. Open it. Then here overall here we used the refine method in order to validate the password and confirm password, but here we don't have the refine method. We are going to use the one-off function, which helps you to access the very specific field, one of the field from this form schema. Okay, so open this function and it's going to take the array. So I'm going to use the yup instance and I'm going to use the reference of the yup instance. From the reference, I'm going to access this password field, password, and if the password does not exist, use the default value as null. If there is no value, keep it as a null. If it is says so, if it is null, then I'm just going to keep the password don't match, right? Either get this or keep the null value. Okay. Then what I need to do, I need to make sure this required value should be confirm. It should be your password. This is the value. This is how you need to compare your value. Okay, so this is the one. You might feel this is one of the easiest way when compared to this, but here basically we are writing a proper logic, but I don't feel we written any logics over here. So basically what it's trying to doing, it's trying to access the password field, and inbuiltly it will trying to match that password should exactly with this particular field. Okay, that is what it's doing over here. So this is all about the schema. Then I need to call this submit event. So I'm going to copy this submit and I'm going to paste this submit function inside over here for our form submit, right? That's it. We don't need anything at all. That's it, literally nothing. Then what I'm going to do is to copy from here and paste it over here. I think one division is missing. Yes, save it. And now if you check it out, is it running or what? Okay, so I need to get back into app.jsx, right? Because I haven't imported yet. So let me import it, save it, and I should be able to see this form validation using React hook. But this is supposed to be Formik and yup. All right, so now this is the place where we need to bring the form. So for the bringing the form that we created ourselves, but here we're going to use this Formik. So if over here, what I'm going to do, I'm going to bring the Formik form. This helps us to create the Formik. Open it. Okay, and here this Formik, which is going to have the initial values, So here I'm gonna supply the initial values. So you need to make sure that you are typing all the necessary fields over here, which is the name, email, password, confirm password, all those fields, and give the fields values as exactly same. Make sure all the fields whatever you type is exactly the same thing. Okay, this is how you need to supply. Then you need to supply the validation schema. What validation schema that we are willing to do. So the validation schema, it's going to be the schema which we created. Then you need to supply on submit. On submit, what function that we are going to call? The on submit function which we created. That's it. That's how you need to supply the schema, resolvers, and all those things. Okay, then here I'm going to render the form. I'm going to render the form. So when I'm rendering it, I'm going to access very specific state is called is submitting. Whether it is submitting, the form is submitting or not, because we can use this state, because when you click this, we need to disable the button to be disabled, because you're not supposed to click it again and again where the time when the form is being submitting, right? And that's why we access this submitting state where it is here. See, is submitting. We need to disable that form. How we can disable it? Just you have to say disable when the state is true. Okay, so that will make sure that for that button is being disabled whenever the form is being submitted. Then I need to open the form. I'm going to supply the class name, flex column, and gap should be 6. Open it. Then here I'm going to create a div which is going to be exactly the same as the same way what we did for the form field over here. Exactly the same thing. Okay, so what you all you have to do is to follow the same steps over here, right? So let's say class name, flex column, and inside here I'm gonna create a label, and this supposed to be HTML4, and this HTML4 which is going to be the name itself, and the class name which is going to be form label, and here I'm going to say name. Then right over here I'm going to bring the field. Basically this is, we are going to use the field component, right? Field, and for the field I'm going to supply the ID which is going to be the name itself. Then I need to supply the name. Then I need to supply the type, which is going to be the text type. Then I need to supply the place. Wait a minute. Okay. Placeholder, which is going to be enter your name. Then I need to supply the class name, which in case is going to be form input. Save it, and you should be able to see this, and the form needs to be complete with the full, right? And if you check it out, if I type something, see, and all I have to do is to bring the submit button, right? So let's bring the submit button and let's check it out over here inside the form right after this division, and I need to paste the submit button, save it, and when I click this, okay, so the form is not working as it's supposed to be. Formik. My bad. The reason why it is not showing that error message is because we haven't displayed the error message. That's the reason it's not working. So I need to bring the error message, right? So let's bring the error message component name, which is going to be the name, then component, which is going to be the paragraph component, then the class name, which is going to be the form hyphen error. Save it. Now I should be able to see the name field, even if I don't have the submit button. Oops. See, if I refresh this and if I type something and if I keep it empty, I will get this error message, but not over here. See, but here we will get that. It's because of this initial value, and that initial value is not matching the schema. That's the reason. That's one added advantage with this. But if you're using a controlled input, you might get the same feature in the React hook form as well as. Okay, here we are using the control inputs only because we are using their own components, but here we don't, right? So now we have to make this component as well as the reusable component in order to bring the rest of the fields. So let's go ahead and create the reusable component for this. Then we can bring in the rest of the field as well as. All right. So in order to make this as a like a custom component, reusable component, let's go here. I'm gonna create a new field called form uh, ec form field, something like that. And let's say RAFCE, save it. And I'm gonna say disable the unused variable. Then I'm gonna open the prop over here, right? So for this props, what are the things that we need? Just exactly the same prop as your form fields. So I'm gonna copy exactly the same stuffs, errors, and copy this. I think we don't need the register and we don't need the errors because that is not necessary. We need the label ID and we need the name, and the type by default it's going to be placeholder. And along with this I'm gonna class name. I'm gonna, okay, we don't need the class name, save it. And let me disable this, disable react for the entire type. Okay, fine. All right, so now all I have to do is to get back over here to this component, and I'm gonna copy from here to here, copy it, get back over here, and I'm gonna paste it. So we need to bring the field from the Formik, and I need to bring the error message from the Formik. Import both of them and keep the React top of it like this. Okay, so now what are the things that I need to change over here inside here? So we need to change the label. So I need to bring the label over here. Then for the HTML4, I need to change this into ID, right? We need to change this into ID. And here I need to bring the field name, whatever the field name it is, I need to bring the field name. And here I need to bring the type of the field. And here I need to bring the placeholder, right? I need to bring the placeholder, and this is going to be the form input. And in the error message, I need to bring the what type of error name it is, name and component and the form error. Everything is fine now. Now let's get back over here, and instead of this particular field, I'm gonna bring the Formik form field. Okay, so for the Formik form field, I'm gonna supply the label, which is in case it's going to be name. Then I'm going to supply the ID, which in case it's going to be the name, which is the schema name, field name. And here for the name property, I'm going to supply the name itself. Then for the type, I'm going to keep it as a text. If it is a text, you don't need to type the text because by default it's a text only. So placeholder, I'm going to say enter your name, save it. And now still you should get the exact same thing. Here we go. See? And if I type something and if I don't type anything, you will get that error message, right? So what I'm going to do, I'm going to do the same thing for email, mobile number, and then postal code, password, confirm password. So I'm going to bring the rest of the fields over here. Oops, not there. Over here, right? So this is supposed to be, oops, I think, yep, this is how it's supposed to be. Save it, and there we go, right? So let me check it out whether everything is working fine or not. Sample name is working and email is required. If I don't give any proper email address, still it's showing sample at gmail.com. Yes. Mobile number, if I type something, it's showing mobile number should be 10 digits long. Mobile number is required, and if I give 10 digits, perfectly fine. If I didn't give this field and if I type any digits, okay, so that is a silly mistake. It is supposed to be 6 digits. Postal code is required. If I type something else, it will show that message. If I give 6 digits, error is gone. and the password field, if I type sample, and if I didn't type anything, and if I type sample, it's saying that this particular error message, okay, it's working fine. So sample at 123, and if I didn't give it anything, it's saying password doesn't match, confirm your password. Then if I type the exact same match, it is gone, and all I have to do is to click over here and go to the console, and then if I click submit, and there we go, I will get the entire form data, right? So we successfully finished the working with the React hook form and with the Zord resolver, and we successfully working with the Formik and with the Yup resolver. So I hope you guys understand. If you're having any questions on this, please drop your question in the comment section. And we are still working on the projects which we are talking about, and soon the React projects and then full stack projects will be uploaded in our channel soon. So please stay tuned.